I would tell Ben Simmons, look, it's time for you to lock in, okay? Block out everything that's going on, the outside noise. This need to be your summer of getting to it. All right, working on your craft. Get off of social media. Get don't get caught up. It's so easy to get caught up in the life of the NBA outside of basketball and forget the real reason that you're here is because of the game of basketball. And when I look at a guy like Ben Simmons, his game is solely on confidence. That's why he's afraid to shoot the ball. That's why he struggled this season finishing around the basket. He has to get uncomfortable. Right now, he's too comfortable. He has to get uncomfortable. Sometimes uncomfortable is the best thing for you, best thing for your career, best thing for your game. Like Jimmy Butler. I ain't saying to this extent, but him and Tyson Chandler, they used to go to another country where it wasn't a TV in the room. It wasn't, electronics. They were away from the world where all they would do was lock in on straight what they needed to lock in. That's their job. That's their craft. That's the game of basketball. That's all Ben Simmons needs to do. If he does that and get back focused and block out all the outside noise and distractions, I think he could become the player that we have grown to love over the past couple of years.
This, first of all, I actually appreciate Danny Green saying this. Sometimes we think that those that are close to us, love us, support us, can't criticize us. And I think Danny was saying this from a place of really understanding, watching, and knowing Ben, right? But to this, and not to get super motivational Instagram or anything on y'all, literally, it is do in order to do, right? Anytime we are faced with something that makes us uncomfortable, if you never do it, it will always be uncomfortable. Now, the tough part, which we fully acknowledge, it is so challenging for a player at any sport, really, to make an adjustment to their game in the season, right? We know that your leaps and bounds in terms of becoming a better player often happen in the offseason, but you can work out and had a mixtape till you blue in the face and it never translates on the court. And so literally, Perk, as I'm watching this thing unfold, if it's going to be, let me get focused to your point, whether it's in another country or wherever, add XYZ to my game, there has to be literal step-by-step implementation or the confidence will never be developed. Now, I will say, Perk, this is also a little bit interesting coming off the heels of the conversation that we opened the show with in terms of Doc Rivers' style as a coach, in terms of instilling confidence in some of his players. You credit Ty Lue for unlocking Paul George. I know Terrence Mann's mom had some comments to say about Ty Lue versus Paul George. Not necessarily negative, but different styles. So you can't put it on Doc because Ben is a pro, and here we are. We're well enough into your career that you need to make some changes and make some things happening. But I do wonder, is there a piece that the Sixers might want to add to their staff specifically for Ben? But the idea of, I'm going to just meditate and eventually my jump shot is going to come or I'm going to be confident in a late game situation, that doesn't happen. You have to go and do it in order to be able to do it.
Yeah, and Monica, to your point about adding people to the staff, I totally agree with that. And look, they may have personnel that's already in the staff.
It's true.
But Ben has to want to be part of it. It's on Ben. You're a grown man now. Like, people shouldn't have to call around. People shouldn't have to have sit-down meetings with you. You should know what to do. Like, you should know, okay, cool. I want to go work out with my brother. I want to go work out with X, Y, and Z, but I need to be working out with A, B, and C. Okay, and that's just what it is. You have to look yourself in the mirror and keep it 100 with yourself.
It's beyond the workout. I'm with you, Perk. But it's, Perk, what is it? You did it. You had a great career. Because the workouts are one thing. Do it. Yeah. You got to go do it. Perk, how do we get, because I don't buy, and I also think we're doing a little bit of a disservice. Yes, Ben has room to improve, but he's not the sole reason that the Philadelphia 76ers lost to the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks are a very good team. We mentioned those clutch stats to start this show. I think the idea that he was the piece that they lost, that's not fair to him. But how does he go from workout warrior, potentially, Perk, right, to a guy that shows up in the fourth quarter in playoff series in the postseason and not just the regular season?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. The great Kevin Garnett told me this, and I never was a franchise player. I was a role player, but I was a star in my role, and I was okay with who I was. But I always used to hear KG say, when people used to get money on other teams, he say, now I want to evaluate them. He always used to say he evaluate other franchise guys after they get the bag. He want to see if they keep the same motivation. He want to see if they keep the same type of spirit, the same type of edge, the same type of work habits. Because one thing about KG that no one could question is his work habits, his work ethic, what he put into and poured into the game of basketball. And we talking about a guy that got paid over $350 million just from the game itself. Forget endorsements. And he still laid it out on the line every single year for about 20 years. So that's what I'm looking at right now.
So, Perk, do you think it was the money and now he just feels like he's untouchable, doesn't have to worry about as much? Do you think that it's his confidence? Do you think that it was the fact that they added Doc Rivers into the equation?
Well, Charlie, here's the tricky part. I've been around for a long time, and sometimes when you get that bag, okay, and I got a smaller bag. I didn't get 100 million, but I didn't got a few little bags, okay?
I got a little tiny bag.
Sometimes, child, I got a piece of the bag. I got a corner.
Yeah, okay. And sometimes, look, you start feeling like you can't be told anything. Like some people may say, hey, you need to do this. You like, man, whatever. I ain't trying to hear that. I got to this point. But then until you hit that wall or until you hit that moment where you realize, like Ben has hit right now, and look, we're not blaming the series on Ben Simmons on why they lost to the Hawks, but we are blaming Ben Simmons for not being productive. And I don't care about shooting jump shots, but he was allergic to offense. He didn't even look to score the ball. His confidence was shot. So at the end of the day, it goes back to my point, Charlie, that we all been to this point, like as an NBA hooper, where we got to a moment where we felt like no one could tell us nothing after we started touching the little money.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.